The email from Dad arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line, family meeting, Saturday 10 a.m. sharp. No greeting. No explanation. Just the command and an address I didn't recognize, Morrison and Wells, real estate attorneys at law. I stared at my phone screen in the darkness of my studio apartment. My tiny, perfectly organized studio apartment with the Murphy bed and the kitchen the size of a closet. The apartment my parents loved to bring up at every family gathering. Still in that shoebox, Jamie? Mom would say, shaking her head. When are you going to get serious about your life? Meanwhile, my sister Natalie lived in a sprawling 4-bedroom colonial in the suburbs with her surgeon husband and their 2 perfect children. Natalie, who'd made partner at her law firm at 32. Natalie, who drove a Tesla and vacationed in Tuscany. Natalie, who'd never worked a day as hard as I worked every single day of my life. I texted back, "What's this about?" Dad's response came immediately, "The beach house. Time to settle things properly. Be there." The beach house. My stomach clenched. 5 years ago, Grandma Helen died and left me her property in Seabrook. A small cottage 3 blocks from the ocean, built in 1975, desperately needing repairs. She'd left it to me specifically, written in her will, to my granddaughter Jamie, who always saw the beauty in simple things. Mom had been furious. Why would she leave it to you? Natalie could actually do something with it. I'd renovated it myself over 2 years. Learned plumbing from YouTube videos. Stripped wallpaper until my fingers bled. Replaced rotted floorboards on my hands and knees. Worked my IT support job during the week, drove 3 hours to Seabrook every weekend. I'd turned it into a rental property. Posted it on vacation sites. Made enough to cover the property taxes and maintenance, with a little left over. Your little side hustle, Natalie called it, air quotes included. How cute. Now they wanted a meeting about it. At a real estate attorney's office. I knew exactly what this was. Saturday morning, I arrived at Morrison and Wells at 9:55 a.m. The office was all mahogany and leather, the kind of place where people signed important documents. The kind of place I didn't belong, according to my family's narrative. Mom and Dad were already seated in the conference room. Natalie sat beside them, wearing a cream pantsuit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her highlighted hair was perfect. Her manicure was perfect. Her sympathetic smile was perfect. "Jamie." Mom stood up, arms extended. "Finally. You're late." I checked my phone. 9:57 a.m. "Sorry," I said automatically. Years of training. A man in his 60s entered behind me. Silver hair, expensive suit, leather briefcase. "Good morning. I'm Richard Morrison. Thank you all for coming." He settled at the head of the table, opening his briefcase with practiced efficiency. Dad cleared his throat. "Jamie, your mother and I have been talking. We think it's time to discuss the beach house situation." "What situation?" I asked. Natalie leaned forward, her expression radiating concern. "Jamie, we're worried about you. You're stretching yourself so thin with that property. The maintenance, the taxes, dealing with renters, it's clearly too much for you." "I manage fine," I said. "Do you?" Mom's voice was sharp. "You live in a studio apartment, Jamie. You drive a 12-year-old Honda. You work in IT support, for heaven's sake. Meanwhile, that beach house is sitting there, underutilized." "I rent it out 43 weeks a year," I said. "It's not underutilized." Dad slid a folder across the table. "We've made a decision. For your own good. We think Natalie should take over the property." The words hung in the air. "Take over," I repeated slowly. "Transfer ownership," Natalie said gently. "We've already talked to Richard here about the process. It's very simple. You sign the deed over to me, and I'll handle everything. I have the resources, the connections. I can turn it into something really special." "It already is special," I said. Mom laughed. "Jamie, be realistic. You're barely making ends meet. Natalie can actually afford to renovate properly, to market it professionally. She can maximize its potential." "I renovated it myself," I said. "Over 2 years." "Exactly." Dad nodded like I'd proven his point. 2 years of your life wasted on manual labor. Natalie would hire professionals. Get it done in 2 months. Richard Morrison opened a file. "I have the transfer documents prepared. If everyone's in agreement, we can execute the deed transfer today." "I'm not in agreement," I said. Natalie's smile tightened. "Jamie, don't be difficult. This is for your own good. You'll finally have time to focus on your career, maybe meet someone, start a real life." "My life is real," I said. "Is it?" Mom's voice dripped with pity. "Look at you. 34 years old, single, living like a college student. The beach house is an albatross around your neck. Let it go." "Grandma left it to me," I said. "Mom was senile," Mom snapped. "She didn't understand what she was doing. She understood perfectly, I said quietly. She knew exactly who would appreciate it. Dad's face reddened. We've been more than patient, Jamie. But this ends today. You're going to sign those papers. And if I don't? Then you'll lose this family, Mom said. We're tired of your selfishness. Natalie needs that property. She's planning to expand her portfolio. You're holding her back. I looked at my sister. She met my eyes with that same perfect, pitying smile. I've already picked out the renovations, Natalie said. Gut the whole thing, obviously. Turn it into a modern luxury rental. I'm thinking $5,000 a week minimum. Maybe more in summer. The cottage where Grandma taught me to bake. Where we'd sit on the porch watching storms roll in. Where I'd cried when my college boyfriend dumped me, where I'd celebrated my first real job, where I'd learned that I could build something with my own hands. Gutted. Erased. Turned into something modern. Richard Morrison cleared his throat. Miss Clark, if you're willing to proceed, I just need to verify a few details for the title search. Standard procedure. I looked at the papers in front of me. Transfer of deed. My name to Natalie's name. My grandmother's gift to my sister's investment portfolio. Do you have a pen? I asked. Mom's face flooded with relief. Finally, you're being reasonable. Richard handed me a pen. I picked up the document, reading through it carefully. Jamie, just sign, Dad said impatiently. We don't need the dramatics. I signed my name on the designated line. Jamie Clark, in my careful handwriting. Natalie was already smiling at her phone, probably texting her husband. I'm thinking we demolish by October. Have it ready for next summer season. Richard took the document from me, examining my signature. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Now, before we finalize this, I need to complete a full title search on all your properties. Standard practice to ensure there are no liens or complications. All her properties? Natalie laughed. You mean the one property? Actually, Richard said, typing something into his laptop, the title search shows multiple properties registered under Jamie Eleanor Clark. He paused, squinting at his screen. This is quite extensive. The room went quiet. Richard looked up, addressing me directly. Miss Clark, I need to verify, you own 8 properties total? Is that correct? Mom's mouth fell open. What? 8? Natalie's voice was strangled. I said nothing. Richard was scrolling now, his professional demeanor slipping into something like surprise. 2 properties in Seabrook, 3 in Maple Grove, 1 in Harbor Point, and 2 commercial properties in the downtown district. He looked at me over his reading glasses. The combined assessed value is $4.70 million. Natalie's phone clattered onto the table. That's impossible, Dad said. Jamie lives in a studio apartment. A studio apartment she owns, Richard said, checking his screen. Free and clear. Purchased in 2018 for $175,000, now valued at $310,000. No. Mom was shaking her head. No, this is wrong. Jamie works in IT support. She makes, what, $45,000 a year? I smiled. I did make $45,000. 5 years ago. Richard was still scrolling. According to the property records, Miss Clark has been acquiring rental properties since 2019. The Seabrook cottage was her first. She's built quite an impressive portfolio. How? Natalie's voice was barely a whisper. Hard work, I said. That little side hustle you laughed at? The beach house rental income was $87,000 last year. I used that to buy the second Seabrook property in 2020. Then the Maple Grove properties. Each rental paid for the next. Dad was pale. You're lying. Richard turned his laptop around, showing a spreadsheet of property records, tax assessments, purchase dates. All with my name. Jamie Eleanor Clark, sole owner. The commercial properties are particularly impressive, Richard said. Downtown building purchased for $890,000 in 2022, now appraised at $1.3 million. Per month? Mom's voice was faint. Yes, I said. Per month. Natalie was gripping the edge of the table. But you drive a Honda. You live in that tiny apartment. The Honda is paid off. The apartment is efficient and in a great location. Why would I waste money trying to impress people who don't respect me anyway? Jamie, Dad said, and his tone had changed completely. Less command, more pleading. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? I asked. That I was successful? Would you have believed me? Or would you have done exactly what you're doing now, tried to take it from me? We're not trying to take anything, Mom said quickly. This is about what's best for the family. Is it? I looked at Natalie. Tell me again about those renovations you planned. The ones where you get Grandma's house and turn it into something modern. Natalie's perfect face had crumpled. I didn't. I thought. You thought I was nobody, I said. Someone whose life didn't matter. Whose property you could just take because you deserved it more. Richard cleared his throat. Miss Clark, Jamie, given this new information, I have to ask, do you still wish to proceed with the transfer? No, I said. I don't. Wait. Natalie lunged forward. Jamie, please. I didn't understand. If you'd known I was successful, you would have treated me differently. I asked. Doesn't that tell you everything? Mom was crying now. Actual tears running down her cheeks. Jamie, honey, we made a mistake. You didn't realize I was a human being worthy of respect. I stood up. Richard, thank you for your time. I won't be transferring any property today. Of course, Miss Clark. He began gathering papers. For the record, I should mention, I've been practicing real estate law for 32 years. The portfolio you've built in 5 years is extraordinary. Most people couldn't accomplish this in a lifetime. Thank you, I said. Jamie, sit down. Dad's voice cracked across the room. We're not finished. I turned to face him. Yes, we are. You can't just walk out of here, Natalie said desperately. We're family. We need to talk about this. Talk about what? I asked. How you planned to take the first thing Grandma ever gave me. How you called it an albatross and said I was wasting it. How you were going to demolish her house by October. Natalie was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Jamie. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did, I said. You meant every word. You just didn't expect consequences. Mom grabbed my arm. Where will we go for holidays? How will we explain this to the family? I gently removed her hand. That's not my problem to solve. I'm your mother, she said. You can't cut me out. You cut me out years ago, I said. Every time you compared me to Natalie. Every time you asked when I'd get serious. Every time you looked at my life and saw nothing worth celebrating. I was already cut out. I just finally noticed. Richard was holding the door open, giving me an exit. I took it. Behind me, I heard Natalie's voice. Jamie, please. We can fix this. I didn't turn around. In the parking lot, Richard caught up with me. Miss Clark, he said. I shouldn't do this, but I wanted to say I'm impressed. Not just with your business acumen, but with your restraint in there. I didn't feel restrained, I admitted. You were far more gracious than they deserved. He handed me his business card. If you ever need legal representation for your properties, I'd be honored to work with you. What you've built is remarkable. I looked at the card. Thank you. One more thing, he said. Your sister asked me to prepare those documents 3 weeks ago. She'd already hired a contractor for the demolition. They were very confident you'd sign. The casual cruelty of it hit me fresh. 3 weeks of planning. Contractors hired. My grandmother's house already condemned in their minds. Good to know, I said. I drove home to my studio apartment. My efficient, paid-off, perfectly located studio apartment. My phone started ringing before I even made it to the highway. Mom. Then Dad. Then Natalie. Then Mom again. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages piled up. Mom, Jamie, we need to talk about this rationally. Natalie, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, please call me back. Dad, you're being childish. Family forgives. Aunt Susan, your mother called me crying. What did you do? I blocked them all. 2 weeks later, I was reviewing rental applications for one of my Maple Grove properties when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera, Natalie, holding a bouquet of flowers. I didn't answer. She rang again. And again. Finally, she pressed the intercom. Jamie, I know you're home. Your car is here. Please. Just give me 5 minutes. I pressed the talk button. No. I drove an hour to get here, she said. That's not my problem. Jamie, please. Her voice cracked. I need to explain. Explain what? That you tried to steal my property? That you called me a failure while planning to profit off Grandma's gift to me? What's left to explain? I was wrong, she said. I was so wrong. Please let me apologize properly. You can apologize from there, I said. Through the camera, I watched her face crumple. She sank down onto my doorstep, still clutching the flowers. I didn't know, she said to the intercom. I didn't know about your properties, your success. I thought I was helping you. You thought you were taking from someone who couldn't fight back, I said. Yes, she whispered. You're right. That's exactly what I thought. She wiped her eyes. Mom called me the disappointment today. Did you know that? She said, how did Jamie get so successful while you just coasted on your degree? She actually said that. And now you want sympathy? I asked. No. Natalie looked up at the camera. I want to understand. How did you do it? How did you build all that without any of us noticing? You didn't notice because you weren't looking, I said. You were too busy looking down at me to see what I was building. She sat there for a long moment. "You're not going to let me in, are you?" "No," I said. "Will you ever forgive us?" I thought about that. About Grandma's house, nearly demolished. About years of being dismissed, overlooked, pitted. About a family meeting called specifically to take the one thing that was mine. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Right now, I don't even want to try." Natalie left the flowers on my doorstep and walked away. I left them there until they wilted. 3 months later, my property manager called about the beach house. Got a request for a long-term rental. 6 months. They're offering $4,000 a month. "Take it," I said. "You sure? That's below your weekly rate." "I'm sure. Grandma would have wanted someone to actually live there, not just vacation." I drove down to Seabrook that weekend for the first time in months. Walked through the cottage I'd renovated with my own hands. The floors I'd laid, the walls I'd painted, the kitchen I'd rebuilt from scratch. It still smelled like her lavender sachets. I'd kept those. My phone buzzed. Another message from the family group chat I'd muted. "Mom, Thanksgiving at Natalie's. You're invited. Please come. We miss you." I stared at the message. Part of me, the trained, conditioned part, wanted to say yes. Wanted to smooth things over, be the bigger person, rebuild the bridge. But I thought about Richard Morrison saying they were very confident you'd sign. About contractors already hired. About my own mother calling my grandmother senile. I typed, "No thank you. Have a good holiday." And I meant it. I genuinely hoped they had a good Thanksgiving. Just not with me. I had better things to do. A property in Harbor Point needed new appliances. The downtown building had a lease renewal. And the second commercial property I'd been eyeing had just hit the market. I had a business to run. A life to live. A legacy to build. Grandma would be proud. 6 months after the meeting, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "You were right." I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. "Jamie, this is Natalie. You blocked my number so I had to email. I'm not asking you to respond. I just need you to know, you were right about everything. Mom and Dad are furious that I lost the beach house opportunity. They brought it up at every family gathering. Apparently I'm the failure now. It's clarifying, realizing their love has conditions. I'm sorry I didn't see it before. I'm sorry I didn't see you before. You built something incredible, and I tried to take it because I thought I deserved it more. I didn't. I don't. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be." And I read it twice. Then I closed it without responding. Maybe someday I'd be ready to forgive. Maybe someday we'd rebuild something. But that day wasn't today. Today, I had a property closing to attend. Number 9 in my portfolio. I drove my 12-year-old Honda to the real estate office, signed the papers, and added another property to my name. Jamie Eleanor Clark. Sole owner. Exactly the way Grandma intended. Have you ever had family try to take credit for your success or claim what you built? How did you set boundaries? Share your story in the comments below.